Swiss Chalet will be hard to get stuff there. Too,
Yeah, probably. Everything would be busy, but I was thinking more on the Saturday than on the Sunday.
I'm in the middle now, and you're on the edge.
Oh, okay. Oh, shoot.
Hello. There's two people.
We're just trying to get focused here. Okay. In the shot now? Yeah. Yay. Okay, now let's see if I can pull this up on here to see who we've got. There it goes. See, arrow loading. Tap to retry. This is something new. So if I go into history, and there we are. There we are. Let's see. Okay, turn that down. Shoot. Okay. So hello everybody. Catherine is here. Glenn is here. Maria's here. Craft and Bev is here. Hi everybody. So I guess you saw the announcement that we were coming on 1 hour later today. Mel's here. And Brenda's here. So that's good. So we'll just give a few more seconds here to let other people catch up since we're on a little later. We are drinking Virgin Caesars. If I don't stab myself with this piece of celery, which is going right up my nose.
It's a little long.
Look, that's a long piece of celery. Yeah, so the reason, as I'm sure you already know, that we're coming on late is because this was my Sunday to teach my art journaling class at the local scrapbooking store. So that runs from 1 to 4. So we have to do this at 5 with that. And so I didn't have as many in the class today. I had a couple of people canceled out. A couple of regulars. I don't know, something must have come up for them. So, but it was a good class. Everybody had a good time at it. And as usual, whatever they create, it was better than what I do. So, I guess that's a good thing. So, anyways, I'm a little tired out from that. So, this could be a short one tonight. There's not that much to talk about. So, what else can I say about the art journaling class? Not much. It was the same as always. I didn't take any video today. Got busy working on my own pages. We were doing interactive pages. And I was showing them how to put in tags and things so you can flip back and forth and how to do a little pop-up kind of a thing. And they all seem to like that. And I do have a video on how to do that on my channel. If you're interested in seeing, I did a process video about that about a week or so ago. And so that's about all I can say about the art journaling class. And let's see, what did we do this weekend? Well,
we did RMG Fridays.
Yes, we did RMG Fridays. As you know, once a month we have that night of entertainment at the art gallery, and we go in and lob off fingers if anybody touches the art. They were really an aggressive crowd this time. We had a lot of people trying to sneak the drinks in where they're not supposed to be.
I had 3 women that decided to ignore me.
Yeah, okay. Here, you know how we've been talking lately about, you know, the whole sexist thing and whatnot. So this group of women walk in with their wine glass in their hand. And so I kind of went over to them, or Walter did, and very politely said to them, well, we're sorry, you can't have your drinks in this part of the gallery, but you can have them in this part and this part, kind of a thing. Explain to them. And there are signs up. And one says, well, I said, well, there's some signs that, oh, they said, well, we didn't know. And I said, well, no, there's some signs up, though, that do state that. Now, mind you, the signs aren't that big, but whatever. And one said, and I thought, wow, if I said this, I'd have my head taken off. This one woman says, well, we're women, we can't read. And I kind of looked at them and said, oh, well, I'm glad you said it and it wasn't me. I said, well, me too. And I looked at him and said, too soon? Whatever. But I thought, holy crap. Like,
well, I had 2 other ones that I said, I'm sorry, you can't have a drink and you can't have any beverages in this room. And they said, oh, okay, well, we'll go out. But in the meanwhile, they tooled around the art gallery, tooled around the room, and walked around the room looking at the paintings to get to the exit.
Yeah.
Like they were in no rush to get out. So, like, what really annoys me about that is that if somebody else walks in with a drink, they'll turn around and say, well, those two have drinks.
Well, what really annoys me, though, is the curator. She establishes the rules. And she says, sometimes they are allowed drinks where the artworks are and things like that. But most of the times they're not. But I don't see the reason for it, why they're not allowed. And because of the nature of the evening, it's supposed to be sort of a cultural, entertainment, relaxed, casual kind of atmosphere where you're encouraged to have a glass of wine or have a beer and look at the art.
Yeah, so they have a hallway where you can buy the drinks. And then there's one of the galleries has entertainment in it, so they have chairs set up in there, and you can drink in there, and there's art in there, but nowhere else in the gallery are you allowed to have a drink.
And the newest installations in that are in the other parts of the gallery where you can't have your drinks. Well, this curator, and then to top it all off, the irony of this is there was a new, very modern kind of installation that was being opened that night, and the curator was doing a little talk about it, and the artist was there, and the artist's family were there and everything for this. And so they tell everybody that this is about to begin at such and such time, so they all march in with their drinks in their hand.
And I'm not stopping them because that's the curator deal with it. It's her rules.
Yeah, well, she's inconsistent with it. But anyway, she's retiring at the end of May. She's been there 28 years. And there'll be a new curator, but
And then there was a show on one time, that Jade Art.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right? They have signs up that you're not allowed to have drinks in the room. And they were serving a punch that night.
Yeah.
In the room.
In the room.
And I sort of said, well, wait a minute. I stopped actually the CEO of the art gallery, and I said, so are people allowed to drink in this room tonight because they've got a punch in here? And she looked at like deer in headlights. It's like, oh, I didn't think of that. Like,
she is a really nice lady, and she's very, very intelligent, and she's probably the best curator they've had ever at this art gallery, and she's been there for years. But sometimes she has an artist's brain, and you know what I mean by that. Woo, woo, like what seems logical to other people, not to an artist's brain. It's somewhere else out there, but whatever. So, I don't know.
And then sometimes they allow people to drink in there, and then the next week they don't. So people that come the week before or the month before will suddenly think that they can bring drinks in there, and then I have to start policing them that they can't. So,
And then we look like the dirty guys
Yeah.
for this. Like, we look like we're the, security or something and all that. But anyways, at least they have some new displays in there. There's the local art association is doing their annual juried show, and they do it every year there. And that took up a couple of the galleries. Then they
and
had,
actually, it was pretty deep. The art was pretty nice.
yeah, it was pretty decent this year because some years they've had some really crap stuff in there. But this year it was very interesting to look at. They also had another juried show from the local college, Durham College, down in what they call Studio A, which is in the basement sort of a thing of the art gallery. And then they had this new installation, which was 6 75-inch video screens. And the artist, she used to live in Oshawa. She's young. And she loves Art Nouveau. And she was in Paris or something like this not so long ago. And she saw something about some famous dancer from the turn of the last century who was very influential and very innovative in her style of dance. In fact, she influenced like Martha Graham and other greats in the dance in the early 20th century dance world. And so she was trying to show, I guess she had this special dance called the Serpentine, where she had these flowing gowns that she had created for it. And I guess there was a lot of swirling and back. So she tried to capture it. So you stood in the middle of these giant screens, and it would work its way around. Like the dancer's face was sort of blacked out. All you could see is the costume and the color and this flipping around. And, well, it was kind of interesting. I don't know. I don't necessarily get it, but it was different. It's very modern.
And it takes up the entire room.
It takes
And
up
it's
a
big
whole
room.
gallery, yeah. And that's what's there. So,
I mean, it doesn't occupy the space. It's in the middle of the gallery.
yeah.
So the room is completely empty except for this thing.
And a lot of people,
Don't even know what they've done is put blackout curtains in front of the entrance, and people think it's closed off, so they don't go in there.
yeah. So we had to tell people that they could go in there, that the curtains were there because they're keeping it dark so you can see the TV screens better. Whatever. I've seen worse. It wasn't that bad. Mel says, Steve, could you shoot short video from the art gallery, show us what kind of exhibition it is, or do they allow taking photos and video? Actually, no, you can. That's the one thing. Okay, you can't drink. But yes, you can take video, you can take pictures, as long as you don't use a flash. I'm not sure how long that show is there, whether I'll be back.
Well, actually, was it the one for the was it the OMA or whatever or is it what is it
The OAA,
OAA?
Martial Arts Association.
That show ends today.
Yeah. But next time I'm in the art gallery, Mel, I think I have done it before, but it's been a while. I'll try and remember to take maybe a little virtual tour of the art gallery, what's going on at that time, and I'll probably have to post it though on my vlog when I do my vlog, because I can't really do it when we're live. I don't have the technology.
It's not
for
a
that.
huge gallery.
No, but it's kind of interesting. It's not a bad gallery. It's a pretty good gallery actually.
Four large
Areas.
rooms.
Yeah, four large galleries within the
Yeah.
gallery, or areas. I don't know, whatever you call it. Mel says, yes, you have, but would be nice to see what they're at the moment. Yeah, okay, well, I'll try to remember that, Mel, and do it.
Yeah, maybe we'll take a video next month is RMG Fridays again.
Yeah.
And
So-
we could sort of do a video as to what it's all about. That might be kind of interesting.
Actually, though, if you do want to see, well, they don't really show this display, though. I was going to say, if you go onto YouTube and type in Robert McLaughlin Gallery, Oshawa, Ontario, Canada, there is a channel. And it shows little bits and pieces, but they're more like advertisements for what's coming up or what's there as opposed to a tour.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I'll put that on my list of things to try out. Sure, no problem. We'll see what that's like. Okay, so that's about all I can say about RMG Fridays. Oh, Friday, though, was very interesting weather-wise. We were having heavy winds that were kind of wreaking havoc in certain areas of around here. They were shearing off traffic lights. They were so high, knocking out power. I don't know. We may have lost power when we were not here, when we were at the art gallery, but only for a few minutes, I think, because some of our
I
stuff
was
looked like it
worried
was
that there was a couple of trees that are dead in behind our property, and was worried that the trees would come down, but they stayed. So.
Yes, Mel, I'll make a note of that. I'll put that link into the show notes for this. So just show notes, RMG channel. Okay, I'll do that, Mel.
Yeah, actually, they have that. Do they still have that video up where they all did the stills?
Oh, yeah, when we did when that was popular. Yeah, they might. I'll look and I'll put in a couple of links that you might be interested in. Yeah, that's true. Okay, just a note to do that. Okay. Yeah, so we had this windstorm and whatnot, but we didn't have any damage done. Although
A lot of areas were without power.
Yeah.
So.
But not that severe. But to hear the weathermen talk, again, storm of the century, it's wind, it's tornadoes, it's like, oh, look, there's a house, they're dropping it on somebody's feet, whatever kind of thing. Laura says we lost power for 3 hours from it. Oh, well, where Laura lives in Oshawa, I guess that was bad, because up where we live, we didn't have as much. I mean, there were strong winds, but nothing more. So anyways, that was Friday night. Nothing too exciting there. Of course, the next day, I got up, well, not early because I'm usually up early anyways, but I wanted to get over to the Ultimate Sewing Store because if you've heard me mention before, it was going to be their spring open house. And at that time, you could sign up for their classes in the next session. They do not have a large classroom. I think they can only handle about 8 people in a class, maybe 10, but I think it's 8. And of course, you know, now that I'm so much into this quilting thing, there's a bunch of classes I want to take. So I thought it'd be smart. First of all, I knew what information, how they do it. They have a slip of paper and they, you know, you put the name of the class on it, the dates of the class, and your name and your phone number. So I made up my own little slips for this with all that information on. On Friday night, they sent out the list of the classes. They don't reveal the classes until the night before, after the store is closed. So I went through, found the 4 classes I wanted to take, put them on these little slips, had them all ready to go. The store doesn't open until 10 o'clock Saturday morning. I was there a little after 9, parked right in front of the store, had my coffee mug with me, had my book and everything, and I'm sitting there waiting. So one of the employees got there a little bit early, and she goes, you know, we don't open till 10. And I said, no, I know, but I said, I told you I was going to be here first in the store on the day of. So she was laughing about that. And then another lady and her daughter showed up about 9:30, and so we were talking. I did remind her, however, that I was first in line for this. And so we were talking about different things. We had a nice conversation. And as we were standing there talking, more and more of the ladies showed up, and they were lining up. So about 5 minutes to 10 before they opened up the store there, I just looked at all the ladies in the line, and I said, just to make it very clear, I'm first in line. And there could be bloodletting. I have a needle in my bag. I'm not afraid to use it. And then I looked at them too and I said, and by the way, the old adage, women go first? No, not in this case. I'm first. So they were all laughing about that. So I get into the store and I go right up to the lady who looks after signing you up for classes. And I think it threw her off because I said, okay, Trudy, here's the classes I want to have them all written out on these slips. Well, they're not their official slips, and she's an older lady, and I think she was a little flustered because I don't think anybody had ever done that before.
No, probably.
And she didn't know what I says. Well, I said you can just stick it right to your form because it's got all the information that's on your form on this little one. And I said, I brought a stapler. We can put it on. And of course, the other women in there are laughing. They're going, "Oh, that's the teacher in him, isn't it?" So she sort of said, "Oh, okay, well," and she did it. So I got the 4 classes that I want to take. And the 4 classes are, none of them are actual quilting classes. They're all technique or machine actually. 1, how to use your sewing machine. That was 1. I mean, I know how to use my sewing machine, but I'm sure there's a lot of other things I don't know about it. Like tension still has me a little bit boggled and things like that. So I'm taking that. And of course they sell my machine because that's where I bought it. So they'll be very familiar with it. In fact, the instructor that's doing that one, she has the same machine as me, so that should be okay. Then, of course, I'm taking one about using your serger. I just had my serger reconditioned by them, new blades, the whole bit, and I want to learn more than just how do I do a rolled hem on a napkin kind of a thing. They actually have 2 classes in that one. But the second one is that now that you know how to use your serger, they're making some projects, but I don't need a scarf and a skirt. So I'm not taking that class. Then they've got one that's called BQ Bootcamp, which is Basic Quilters Bootcamp. And I think what they're going to do in that one is going to show you some of the tips and tricks on how to do, you know, blocks and things like that, piecing, pressing, all of that. But plus, I think they're going to teach you some traditional blocks so you have a background to that. And I thought, you know, I've probably leapt ahead of this a little bit. I need to maybe backtrack a bit and learn some of the stuff I should know from somebody who knows. And the other class I'm taking is, oh, I keep forgetting that this is the class I'm taking, is one I want the most. How to do free motion quilting with your machine. And that one's only over a couple of nights kind of a thing. One night they're teaching us how to use your walking foot for that, which I already sort of know, and you've heard me talk about that. And then the other one is using your free motion needle with the feed dogs down, and you're using your hands and everything around from that. And that's the thing I'm most interested in learning how to do, because I've tried it on my own and I'm not very good at it. So I got my classes, got in, got some batting, needed more batting for the quilts that I'm working on. Geez, there's a gold mine in that batting business, I swear. Maybe I should go out and see
Buy a roll.
buy yeah, almost, because you go through it like, well, you need it for every quilt you make, and it's not cheap. I think it's about $18 a meter for it. That's quite a bit, but plus, because I signed up for 4 classes, I got 25% off everything I bought that day. So I should have bought more stuff, but I bought batting and I bought basting spray, but still pretty good. And then I should know better. This store is so good. They have everything. I see these things on the internet and go, that would be good. And I go on Amazon or something and see what they've got. Well, not thinking I should just ask them at the store. So there's an electronic program to help you plan a quilt. For, it does all your measurements, it's all the blocks and things, and I guess it's the #1 program for quilters, the software, and it's called Electric Quilt 8. It's a new version of it, just came out. And I looked online at Amazon, and I looked at the actual company that makes it in the States. The company in the States wanted $260 American for it. Amazon.ca wanted $238 Canadian for it, which is weird that it was cheaper than if I'd bought it from the company in the States. I mean, because they're quoting their price in American money, and Amazon is quoting it Canadian money. So I would have expected to have been well over $300 Canadian.
Is it the same version?
It's the same version.
Yeah.
And of course, Amazon is out of it right now, but you can set it up so that when it comes in, they'll send you an email and it automatically send it to you. So I did that. And then I was in the store. I said, oh, by the way, you don't happen to sell Electric Quilt 8? She says, yeah, we do. And she says, oh. I said, we're out at the moment. We had a whole bunch of them last week, but there'll be more coming in this week, whatever. And I said, can you put me down for one? And she says, yeah, no problem. I'd rather buy from them than from Amazon. I says, by the way, how much is it? She says, $168. Huh? I went, it's $168? And she said, I says, that's cheaper than Amazon or even the company. And she goes, yeah. And she says, you ever check out the prices on machines and that? Check with us first, because our prices are always lower than that. So there must be quite a markup on this stuff.
Yeah, well, software especially.
Let's just see what people are saying. Mal says, spring is finally starting over here. There are tiny, tiny leaves and trees, and finally dirty brown nature is turning to green. Laura says,
our maple trees out front have just spurted up.
Well, by the 24th of May, everything will be leafed out.
And I've got allergies are beginning to bother me.
Well, you should be taking some Claritin.
Yeah.
We have boxes of Claritin.
Yeah.
And Laura says, spring is here too, Mel. Leaves mowing lawns this weekend. Catherine says, your fabric, Idiot, episode 5 is beautiful. Your favorite is mine as well. Thanks, Catherine. Nairi, hi Nairi, says, hello to everyone. Monday morning here in Adelaide. Yep. And Mel says, it's really nice that your shop is having so many courses. Should have one, as it's been so long. I have been sewing last time that I don't remember how to thread sewing machine anymore. Yeah, well, they're really good there. I'll say that. They've never steered me wrong since I've done that. And they don't treat me any different than they treat any of the other ladies that go in the store. Like, in fact, I was talking to this one lady that was there with her daughter, and I said that was one of the things I liked about this particular store. I said, being a crafter, over the years, when I walk into a new craft store, like a scrapbooking store, something like that, they often look at you and go, come up, is there something I can help you find? Is it for your wife? Is it for your girlfriend? No, it's for me. And then that takes them back a bit. And I said, actually, I teach classes in this as well. Then they start to warm up a little bit, but it's always like this. Well, you're a man. You probably don't do it.
And some of the big fabric stores are like that too.
Yeah.
Like go into Fabric
Fabric
Land,
land.
and they kind of look at you all the time.
Like, what would you know about sewing? Well, some of the biggest fashion designers in the world are men. In fact, all of them are men, almost. The really big names. I mean, okay, there was Coco Chanel, but she's dead. And that was taken over by Karl Lagerfeld. That's a man. What's her name? Vera Wang, I suppose. She's still around. I guess there's probably other ones, but I don't know who they are. EQ8 will be really helpful in designing your fabric, Catherine says. Oh, in designing the fabric too. Has it got a feature for that? That's kind of interesting. I have not heard anything about my fabric from Northcott yet. It's only been a week. I may never hear anything. But if I don't hear anything in another week or so, I'll bug them again. Maybe I'll try a different approach. But I don't know. We'll see. So that was pretty much the weekend. Last week we went to a Costco. And I'm sure everybody knows pretty much what a Costco is. But we went to a business Costco, which Walter wanted to go to.
I just thought I'd like to see what they had that's different than the other Costco.
And they did have some different things there. Like,
Yeah.
it's geared towards people who have businesses, obviously. And so need mass quantities of things like cooking utensils, like huge trays and...
Great big huge chunks of cheese.
like humongous chunks of cheese. And other things like that. But it was kind of interesting. I actually bought two things there. I bought a great big aluminum tray, baking tray. One that's too big to fit into an ordinary oven. But I bought it, if I do more acrylic pouring, it's good for catching the paint. I've got some trays, but they're smaller. The big one would be better. And I mean, it was ridiculously cheap. It was $6.99. That's cheap. And then we bought a new whisk. Yay! A heavy-duty whisk for $4.99. And the whisks that I had here probably cost more, and they're cheap. They're all splayed out the whole bit, and this one looked pretty good. But if you're having a big party, this is the place to go because mass quantities of, and pretty cheap prices for that kind of stuff. Anyways, that was an exciting day. What else did we do that day we went there? Oh, we went to IKEA and had lunch. No, we did not have if you know IKEA, the little meatballs in the white sauce, or as we like to call them, the sawdust meatballs. But they do make good buttered chicken. I'll say that.
It's not bad.
Well, it's pretty good, I thought. For $8.99, not bad at all. I mean, it's not spicy. But then they're catering to everybody's palate, I suppose. But I could have got hot sauce for it. But it was still pretty good. And I always like looking around in IKEA because they've got Fluckenbuchens and Schnattennattens and your Kunkunkunkens, whatever they are, and some assembly required. But they always have kind of cool things in there. So we did that. And what else? Oh, we bought a new microwave. It's not in the shot. There it is. Straight behind Walter. New microwave. Get up and be Vanna. Vanna. Vanna is showing you the micro... Oh, wait, here. Move the glass out of the way. Do it again, Vanna. Here. New microwave. Yes. We now own 3 microwaves. You may ask why. Why not?
For the thing.
That we say. But, yeah, it was on sale. And we kind of needed a new one. Well, actually, the 2 that we have are working fine, but they're white, and they're starting that white. You know how white plastic starts to go yellow over years? We've had them for
We've had them for 20 years.
over 20 years. We bought them when we first moved into the house.
Yeah.
We've had them for 23 years. So it was time. And this one's a little bigger, and we wanted something a little bigger. But we didn't throw the other one away. The second one is still here in the kitchen in another part you can't see. And we put the other one down in our where our freezer is. So dial dinner. In fact, our other house that we lived in years ago,
We had three.
We had
them
3 microwaves, but we had them
stacked on top of each other.
And people would look at these and go, why do you have 3 microwaves? I said, because my favorite person is Jane Jetson from the Jetsons, and I always wanted to dial dinner like Jane Jetson did. Now, some of you won't understand the reference, I'm sure, if you've never watched the Jetsons way back, an old cartoon from way back. Mel says, use baby wipes for yellow plastic. It cleans it perfectly. Baby wipes?
Well, it's not really dirty. It's aged.
Yeah, it's just the age on them, because the plastics leak out a chemical or something, or have a reaction to light and thing over time.
I'm looking at the other microwaves.
Or Maria says, or a magic sponge. Well, I'll give it a shot, but it's not. They're not dirty. They're just, that's just the way the plastic goes. Like,
give it a try.
But give it a try. Jeez, I don't know. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Can't hurt. And heaven only knows, I have all kinds of baby wipes, because I do. Glenn says a magic sponge will take that yellowing from age away. Oh, we've got magic sponges too.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Mr. Clean ones, right? The white ones with the blue on the other side, or whatever they are. Well, we'll give that a try. Who knew? Yeah, that's what Glenn says. Okay.
Excuse me, I gotta blow my nose.
Oh, and while you're up blowing your nose, go grab a magic sponge. We're going to do an on-air experiment right now.
I don't think we have a good one right now, do we?
There's some, aren't there some in the cupboard? Above the cleaning supplies?
I think we're out.
Oh, well, maybe we won't be doing an online experiment. And Mel says baking soda and lemon might work well too. Okay. Sure, where were you people when I just spent $200 and some on a new microwave? Huh? Really?
Yeah, there is one.
Oh, Walter found one. Maria says she buys them by the 100. And Glenn says I used it on my toaster. It worked like a charm. Okay. Okay, so let me see it first. Or just show it up there. This is what you're talking about, right? The magic sponge, right? The Mr. Clean magic sponge. Okay. Walter is wetting the sponge as we speak. Yep, and Maria and Glenn said, yep, that's the sponge. Okay. What's it doing?
It's not doing anything.
Walter says it's not doing anything. He's still wiping it.
Yeah, I'll try a little later, but I don't think it's working.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't see how this would, because this isn't like grime or dirt or anything like that. This is just what old plastic tends to do.
Yeah, it's clean. It's just
Yeah, it's clean. It's like, but it's not taking any. Well, anyways, worth a try. Glenn says for tougher spots, I add a little soft scrub with bleach onto the sponge. Well, this isn't dirty though.
It's not dirty.
We're not talking here dirt. We're talking like it's very clean actually. We're just talking that over age has discolored it. It's the light kind of thing. Now Mel says Stephen and Walter cleaning live. Yeah, but anyways, worth a shot to try it. So the bleach. Glenn says the bleach takes the fading away.
Yeah,
Well, we give that a try sometime too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll try that off air.
That might help.
It's like using bleach on fabric. Takes color out. Well, okay. We'll give it a shot. We'll see what happens with that. Okay. So that was our cleaning portion of the show. Tips with Heloise.
Well, the other microwaves, the backlight on it wasn't working properly.
Yeah, well, that's the other
Now,
thing.
mind you, that died 19 years ago. So.
Yeah, that's true. It was just the clock on it or whatever. Or the backlight, yeah. Brenda says, I want to shout out a thank you for motivating me to start walking again. I have walked up and down my sidewalk so many times and going to start on a treadmill at my local senior center. Good for you, Brenda. That's good. You got to keep moving. We know, as we've said, about my mother, so don't let that happen to you. So just keep it up. I mean, I walk on my treadmill 5 days a week, half an hour, 35 minutes a shot, burn about 400 and some calories when I do that, but I'm not doing it for weight loss anymore. I'm doing it so I just will keep moving. I don't want to be like my mother. So, speaking of my mother, Mother's Day's coming up. Okay, what do you do for someone who you can't take out to any place? Well, first of all, Mother's Day weekend is the worst time to take anybody's mother out because everybody's taking their mother out. And every place is a zoo.
And every place jacks up their prices.
Yeah.
Like bad. Like, I mean, at the art gallery, they have a nice little area that has a special Mother's Day brunch. And we went there one year, and it was then, I think it was $35 a person then.
Yeah.
And this year, last couple of years, it's $53 a person, which is kind of pricey.
And it's not bad. I mean, the food's okay and everything like that, but
It's not worth $53.
it's not really worth $53 a person for it.
So 3 people go. It's like if we would take your mother, that's over $150 for 3 of us.
Yeah. Craft and Bev says, my kids are taking me out this Wednesday for Mother's Day because both of them have to work that weekend. And then Glenn says, make her a special at home brunch. Well, I've thought of that. I'm not making it. But I thought about, we could go over maybe on Saturday, afternoon or something and bring something in and that kind of thing with it. Now, it depends. My sister might have plans to have her over. See, okay, this is going to sound really bad, but I could have my sister and her husband and whatever kids are hanging around. They only have 2, but one's in Ottawa, sort of a thing, working and going to school, and the other one, now she's out at school, but I'm not sure if Sarah's living back at home or still living
Yeah,
in
it's a
Lynn.
mystery.
It's very weird. But anyways, I could have them over. They can bring my mother because they only live a mile away from my mother. And we could do all of that. But I don't want to. I mean, it's just, I don't have the energy and time for it because I think you've heard me say before, we either are upstairs or we're downstairs because we're not going to get my mother. We can't move her from around. Like we would entertain downstairs, have dinner upstairs in the dining room. We can entertain upstairs as well, but I don't really like, our kitchen is an open concept, as you know, so I don't like people watching me cook. Because it's bad enough to have Walter watches me cook and it's over my shoulder all the time. It's like, are you going to do that? I was thinking about, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you go to whatever? But, so I don't really feel like doing it. Plus, I don't know. I don't know what her plans are. Of course, it's Mother's Day for her too. Well, her kids can do something for her, really. That's why she has kids. So, I don't know what we're going to do. And then there's always, what do you get your mother for Mother's Day? My sister will get her flowers because my sister works at a florist. So she gets flowers. And I know my mother likes her candy. My sister will hate it, but I don't really care what my sister thinks about it. I thought I'd get her a small basket with some of her favorite things. She likes chocolate bars, and she likes anything sweet for that. And I thought I'd put her together a little candy basket because there's nothing else she can get her. I don't have enough time to make her a quilt. So, and I don't know if she'd appreciate it or not. But anyways, we'll see what goes on. At least we don't have to go through this with Father's Day. I suppose that's not a nice thing to say, but my father's dead and so is his, so we don't have to worry about that anymore.
My mother's gone too, so.
Yeah, so it's just my mother we have to worry about. But ironically, my mother lately, knock wood, has not fallen. Knock wood. Cross your fingers. Don't say that too loud. And she's been sounding pretty good.
Funny, isn't it? Funny since since you've been trying to get her on the list of a nursing home, she suddenly is.
Yeah, she's perked up. It's kind of like when we took the cat to be put to sleep. Perked right up. And, that's maybe not a really good comparison, but you know what I mean. Well,
And yeah, she hasn't knocked wood, fallen.
no, so I don't
And you
know.
said at one point in time you thought maybe that was a way for her to get people out to see her.
Yeah. And I still think it was. It still is. But, I don't know. Oh, well. I'll worry about it when next weekend comes or whatever. What are people saying here? Oh, Glenn says, I meant Walter Make It. He seems to be the cook. Should I be insulted by that?
I mean, make what?
Brunch for my
Oh,
mother.
Oh, no thanks.
No, see, no, you went out, but
It's not my mother.
no, really. Yeah, well, he is the cook, sort of. Well, I don't care. Since he's been retired, he's been cooking a lot more, and that's fine by me. I don't mind cooking, but who doesn't like it when somebody else is going to cook for you? Like, fine by me. Just pass me my drink, Beulah, and get in that kitchen and cook. Glenn says, do you have Sherry's berries up there?
Nope.
Is she missing them? Are they
Sherry's berries.
I've
what's
never
that?
heard. It must be. Is that a restaurant or something? Because I've never heard of that. And Mel says maybe she tries to avoid going to nursing home, and it's good motivation for her to start moving. Yeah, you'd like to think that, wouldn't you? But no, nothing motivates her in this way. She's got a cleaning lady now, and she seems to be happy with her. Well, she's only cleaned once, but she seemed to do a really good job, and she's going to come every 3 weeks, which is fine. I kind of thought maybe every 2 weeks would be good, but this lady seems to think that every 3 weeks is fine. And, well, my mother's not really stirring up a whole lot of dust. You know, how much dust can she stir up if she's sitting in one spot all day long? But, so, she seems to like this lady. She says she's a real talker. And
You were just kind of hoping she'd come every other week so that she'd
yeah.
give her your mother something to do.
Well, to me, it's what's more important in the cleaning is since this lady's a talker, I think that's a good thing because it's social for my mother. Although my mother sort of complains about, well, she talks so much. Well, you know, it wouldn't matter if
Yeah, well,
you know, my mother would.
if she didn't say anything, then your mother would be complaining that she doesn't say anything.
Mm-hmm. So I look at it that way, that it's just another social outlet such as it is for her. Glenn says it's a website, this Sherry Berries, and has great, huge chocolate-covered strawberries and cheesecake bites. I ordered them for my mom. Well, we have probably places up here that are like that, but not that particular. Well, you said it's a website, though, so, well, yeah. No, my mother just likes her chocolate. And I mean the chocolate you buy in a store, the chocolate bars. I'm not talking going out to a place that makes really good chocolate, you know, that kind of stuff. She likes her Snickers bars, her Mars bars, her Rolos, her...
And she's not really that big of a woman, so.
No, she's not. She's a tiny little thing. Well, whoa, that was... Okay. Pardon me. Oh, you talk now.
Why?
I'm choking on the drink.
Oh, okay.
I hit a spicy thing. Okay, you're trying to kill me.
Yeah, of course.
Well, good try. Brenda says, you should be proud to cook for your mother-in-law. Oh, yeah, laugh out loud.
She doesn't eat either.
No, actually, my mother doesn't eat. That's the other thing. If you have her over for dinner or whatever, oh, I'll just have you fix her a plate. I just want a little bit. I just want a little bit. She eats this much of it. The rest just gets pushed around. She had a pee, I'm full. Like, kind of a
That's
thing.
frustrating when you take her out for lunch or something, too. She eats like, she'll get a salad, she'll eat 2 leaves, and then...
She'll get the rest boxed up to take home
yeah,
and rot in her fridge.
And then she'll have like, if it's fish and chips or something, she'll have 2 chips in a corner of a piece of fish, so...
Yeah. So...
But then she'll have her chocolate bar.
But then she'll have her chocolate bar. Yeah. She's full of Boost all the time. I mean, the drink, you know, that horrible thing that's made of chemicals and oil or whatever that's supposed to be a nutritional supplement or whatever. She practically lives off of that. Because it tastes like a milkshake, she says. Okay.
It's sweet and it's chocolate.
Mm-hmm. And it's just loaded with nothing good for you. But, you know, at least it's something, I guess, she's eating. But anyways, well, we'll work this all out at the time.
Yeah.
So let's see what else. Oh, I got a new toy this week besides the microwave. I'll talk more about it tomorrow on my vlog because it's a crafting item there, and maybe not all of you are really into that, but it is finally they came out with the Cricut. Everybody knows what a Cricut is, and I've got the Cricut Maker that they came out with 1.5 years ago, and they've been toting that they were going to have this special blade called the knife blade that will cut chipboard up to 2 millimeters thick, and we've been waiting for it and waiting for it. First they said it was going to be available in October. It didn't happen. Then it was December. Then they went radio silent about it, and everybody was asking everybody else online, do you know when it's going to come out? Nobody seemed to know. Well, they came out with it last week. I ordered it. It arrived, and I have been experimenting with it. And yeah, it does cut chipboard up to 2 millimeters thick, and that's fairly thick. And it does a fairly good job on it. However, it is not the speediest device. It was a fairly intricate cut that I was doing. It was sort of a silhouette of a tree branch with some butterflies on it, kind of a thing. And it was maybe, I had blown up about 6 by 6. And it makes multiple passes when it cuts. So basically what happens is it makes an initial cut, and then each cut it makes after that, I think the blade is pressed down a little deeper, so it cuts through the layers until it gets to the bottom. And it does about 20 passes. But it does tell you how long it's going to take, depending on the design you've put in. That particular one, 3 hours and 40 minutes to cut. Definitely not fast. So if you needed something or a lot of the same thing, you should plan well ahead with it. But it does cut. Apparently it'll cut mat board, you know, the kind of thing you use for when you're framing a picture or something like that. We'll cut that. Melanie Lane on her channel was showing how it cuts that. And it's supposed to cut, in the States they call it basswood. Here, I think that's the same thing as what we call balsam wood. But, you know, that thin, very veneer type of wood kind of a deal. And so next week I'm going to go over to Michael's and pick up some mat board and pick up some balsa wood and try it out, see how it works. Oh, it'll cut leather, supposedly too. And so yeah, it's okay. It took them long enough to come out with it. Just it's not speedy. That's all. But I guess that's the price you pay for it to cut these things, because nothing else that I know of on the market for crafter machines. I'm sure there are machines out there, industrial strength, that do this kind of stuff. But for the home machine, there isn't any other machines that I know of that will cut this kind of stuff that well. So anyways, I've got it. Been waiting for it. And I will use it. In fact, Carol was telling me today at the store she's got these ideas again for things for their scrapbook kits for me to cut and whatnot. But so I said, okay, fine, you just send me what it is that you want and we'll see what we can do. She wanted something that's in 3D. They want them to layer them. And I said, yeah, that's definitely doable, but you have to show me a pattern. But I digress. Melly says, oh no, back it up here. Brendan says, what's for supper tonight? Fish and chips from the fish and chips store. And I don't like fish, but halibut, that's the only kind of fish that I'll eat, and it has to be in fish and chips. So, you know, bread it, deep fried, I'll eat it.
We don't eat it very often.
No, Walter likes it. He gets all excited if I mention we should have fish and chips because he likes it. But I thought, well, we haven't had that in quite a while. Last night, he did a strip loin steak in the sous vide and then finished it off on the barbecue. It turned out perfect. The sous vide is one of the best things we ever invested in because that your meat comes out perfect all the time with that.
It's tasty too.
Yeah. Like, what did you do? You put it in
Well,
with...
I always put in pepper and a little bit of butter with it on the steak and some garlic on it.
Yeah.
And pepper. And
it was good.
That was it.
It was good. And I mean, it was a strip loin, and a strip loin isn't one of your, well, it's not one of your tougher cuts, but it's not one of your most tender cuts.
It's pretty tender.
What, strip loin?
Yeah, strip loin is like the T-bone, only it's got strip loin on one side and tenderloin on the other side.
Oh, is that how that works?
Yeah.
Well, I never took Butchering 101, so. Okay. Comes from a cow, that's all I know. But anyways, it turned out pretty good. So tonight's fish and chips from a fish and chips store. Mel says balsa is quite easy to cut with crafting knife too, or with a little saw. Yes, it is. But the advantage of using it on the Cricut is you don't have to do that. Because you got to be, cutting with an X-Acto knife, it takes time and you got to be very exact.
And I mean, it's not so bad if you do a straight line or something, but if
with
it's
curves or intricate parts,
yeah.
Whereas this does all of that. You just have to wait for it. But you can go off and do other things. I mean, I didn't stand around there for 3 hours and 40 minutes and stare at it. No, instead what I was doing, which was on my list here, I was ripping out stitches from my latest quilt. You know that I showed you last week, and I showed it on my vlog last Monday too. My quilt that I'm making from the scraps from the one that had the zigzags. Now this one's the diamond one. Okay, so I think to myself, I'm going to quilt it, and I showed you this last week with the walking foot, and I took the diagonal lines. I got one whole complete column done. That's 6 squares. It takes a while to quilt that way. So I should have thought about it a little bit more carefully when I first started out, because my lines aren't even. And then when you start going across the quilt, I was trying to draw them in with a friction pen that comes out when you steam it. And I'm looking at it and going, no, this is not going to work. So I thought, well, I'll try doing just straight lines, straight rows, about 3/4 of an inch apart using the walking foot and see how that looks. And I like that. It looks good. So what have I decided to do? Rip out all the quilted stitches in the first 6 squares. How long does that take? First square took over 2 hours to get all the stitches out. I'm getting a little faster, but it's still taken an hour and a half or more for each one. So I have 4 of the 6 squares already picked out. I have 2 more squares to pick out. Then I can finish quilting it, and I can finish the binding on it. And then I'm going to do something I haven't done with any of my quilts. I'm going to wash it and hope to hell that the colors don't bleed. I don't think they will, because this is good material that I'm using. It's, it's meant for making quilts that you're going to wash. But just to be on the safe side, I'm going to see if I can find some of those sheets that's supposed to absorb color in the wash. And somebody sent me a message about that, somebody from the UK, and told me of a certain brand. And I hadn't heard of that brand, but then I don't know what brands there are. And said if I couldn't get it here in Canada, she'd send me some for it. But I'm sure we have something here that will work. I've seen them advertise them on TV, at least on American television. So I'm sure it's there. It's just not something I've ever looked for. But I want to see what's going to happen with it. And supposedly, when you wash a quilt after you've quilted it and that, it gets fluffy. Nice and pillowy. It's supposed to make your quilting look better. So we'll see how that works out. So I'm picking those out, and let's see what else. Oh, Maria says she pre-ordered hers today. Should be here in June, but will not hold my breath. Well, Maria, where did you pre-order it from? Because I ordered directly from Cricut.com, the company. I ordered it on Tuesday. I got it Friday. And I ordered it late Tuesday. And anything I've ever ordered from Cricut online, and they're in the States or in Canada, I've gotten it usually within 2 to 3 days from them. So no problem. And I didn't have to do you're doing a pre-order, so I'm not sure. I'm not, where are you from? Let's see. Because maybe that makes a difference. Oh, you're in the UK. Okay. Yeah, all right. That probably would make the difference there. We do eventually here in UK. Didn't get my Easy Press till earlier this year. Yeah, okay. Mel says, wait, what's this? Okay, Mel says Cricut would be great, but we still cannot get it over here. No resellers. Oh, okay. And that's in Finland. All right. Nairi says, Steve, does the Cricut cut stamped images? I've been thinking about getting a scan and cut. I'm struggling with fussy cutting and matching dies getting expensive. Glad you asked the question, Nairi, because I have a Brother Scan and Cut as well. I have 2 Cricuts, and I have a Brother Scan and Cut. Now, I got the Brother Scan and Cut before I got my first Cricut. And the reason I got it was believe for the same reason that you're talking about. You can scan in a stamped image and it will cut it. Not as easily as what you might see like Julie Fathe Balzer, if you know who she is. She has a YouTube channel. She's an ambassador for Brother Scan and Cuts. And she's always showing you that you just scan it in, flip it through, bang, it cuts it out perfectly. No, it does not. It does a really good job, but there's some things you have to be aware of before you do that. First of all, your image has to be very, very clear when you stamp it. You have to have a really good outline, a really dark outline is what I mean for that. 2, you want to make sure that your scanning mat that you're scanning it from has no other debris on it, because it will pick up that debris and it'll cut it out as well at the same time because it thinks it's part of the image. The other thing is you want to make sure the scanning glass is clean. If there's any dust on it, it may, if it's got some heavy particles of dust, it may try to cut those out too. Into the scanning of it. It's a hit and a miss sometimes with some images. If an image does not have a solid, closed frame to it, it will see the opening and it'll go beyond that. And you'll get little shards that you have to clip off with a pair of scissors. So when it works well. But you have to have all these things set up for it. Now, with the Cricut, this is how it works. It's not scanning an image. If you want to cut something from a rubber stamp, and I do this all the time, stamp it on white cardstock. Again, do make sure you've got a really good image. That's where one of those stamping platforms comes in handy, because sometimes you stamp something and it's a little bit light on one part. Well, if you have a stamp platform, you can just ink it up again. It'll go in the same spot until you get a decent image. Then put it through your printer, because most people have all-in-one printers these days with a scanner on it. Scan your image like you'd scan any other image. And then what you do is you go through the Design Space program that is part of the Cricut machine, and it will pick it up. You do a little cleanup on it if there's jaggy parts or whatever, and away it goes. And so what happens is you actually print it with your printer, then you feed it into your cutter, into the Cricut, and it cuts it all out at that point. And it does it fairly reliably. There are some quirks to it too, but now that I have both machines, I never use my Brother Scan and Cut anymore. I always use my Cricut Maker with this. It works better, I think, in my opinion, from using both of them. Check out Apple Lover. Apple Lover, there's a number, Apple Lover 84, something like that, on YouTube. She is another Brother Scan and Cut professional kind of a thing. She uses it for everything. She has great results. She's got great tips. Now, she doesn't just scan rubber stamps. She does other things too, and she designs in it and whatnot. But she's really good. She has many, many, many videos about it all. And check that one out too for the Brother Scan and Cut. Check out Melanie Lane for tips about Cricut. Or even Cricut themselves have their own YouTube channel as well. But if I had to, knowing what I know now, the Cricut Maker, hands down, is in my opinion, the better machine of the two. Let's just back up here. That's things being said. Who's selling it? Well behind. Mail from Grava. Thanks for having a look at the website. You can really recommend them. They're talking about craft places. Which version of Cricut can cut balsa? It has to be the Maker. You need the knife blade. It comes with the intricate cut blade, and it comes with a rotary cutting blade. That was one of the reasons the reason I bought the Cricut Maker. I liked my old Cricut, it was fine, but I wanted one that would cut chipboard. Of course, I waited over a year, to get the knife blade before
Yeah,
they
because they
released
just
it.
came out with the knife blade.
Yeah, they just came
They
out
sold
with
the
it.
machine a year ago.
But they were telling everybody they were coming out with it in a month or something like that, and then
Yeah.
it never appeared, and it took them a year.
I think they ran into technical
Yeah.
difficulties.
And it does come though with a rotary blade that for cutting fabric, which is another really great tool. And if you go back to the Brothers Scan and Cut, it will cut fabric too. In fact, it's touted as being a quilter's machine because it has these quilting blocks and things like that for cutting out. Problem is, you have to cut the material has to be on an interface. You have to put it on a fusible interface, or put it on something like freezer paper, something like that. You got to stabilize it, in other words, or because it's only got a blade, not a rotary cutter, and it doesn't cut. Like, there's a lot of preparation for cutting something out that most times as a quilter you can use your rulers and your rotary blade cutter and do it by hand faster than what the Brothers Scan and Cut can do. Now if you're doing applique, that's a different story, but still you have to prepare your material. You don't with the Cricut Maker. It has a rotary cutter, a little rotary cutter, and it works really well. You have a special sticky mat for fabric. You slap your material down on the sticky mat, you put it in, make sure your rotary blade is in it, and the machine will tell you if your rotary blade isn't in it, because it won't let you cut unless the rotary blade's in it, because it can detect what material you're using. And away it goes, and it does a great job. The knife blade you need if you want to cut balsa wood or chipboard, but only the Cricut Maker has a knife blade. You can get a deep cut blade for the other Cricuts, but that will not cut chipboard. The thickest they'll cut, if you're lucky with the deep cut blade, might be something the thickness of a cereal box, the cardboard in a cereal box. And even then, it's a little bit of a hit and a miss whether it's going to do that. But with the deep cut blade, no, it goes right through it like butter. Except it's going to take hours. Okay, depending on how intricate your design is. And Marie says, yes, it was the adaptive system. They're going to be adding different tools in the future. Yes, they keep hinting at there could be an embossing tool and things like that. Now, Brothers Scan and Cut does have an embossing tool, if you can get it. It's not available in Canada. They've had it out for over a year. It's only available in the States, which is kind of ironic because they have a head office in Quebec, which is Canada. But no, you can't get it here. And they don't seem to say when you'll be able to get it here. And you can't even go onto the Brothers website, well, at least, now I haven't checked in a bit, but last time I checked, you couldn't even just get it from that way.
Brothers also a little weird. I don't know if it's still the case, but our local scrapbook store here tried to get a brother in to sell it, but they wouldn't let her wouldn't let her sell brother machines unless she also sold sewing machines.
Unless she sold Brothers sewing machines, so many of those, then they would let her sell it. When they first came out with the Brothers Scan and Cut, they were not toting it to crafters. They were toting it to quilt makers, to sewers, and which seems so stupid. I don't think a lot of quilters use electronic cutting machines. Well, one, they're not big enough to handle, like if you wanted to cut strips of material, these machines aren't built for that. They're built for applique, is mainly what they're for. But they missed out on the whole, and then they got into the market a little bit late. By then, Cricut had already been established, and Cricut was moving ahead with things. And the Cricut Maker is the end result of all of that, which is their best machine. Like I said, I have a Cricut Expression 2, and I did have a Cricut Micro, which they don't make anymore. That was my first machine. It was basically a cut down version of the first Cricut machines, the bigger machines. And I bought it like for $100 or something, and I wanted to try it because I didn't know how much I'd use it, and that sort of got hooked into that. And so then I bought a Cricut Expression. Then Walter bought me a Cricut Expression 2.
No, Explorer Air.
Or no, Explorer Air, that's it. The Explorer Air was the next one. So I sold my other Cricut, and I gave my Micro to somebody who, on hindsight, I don't think it's probably still sitting in a box somewhere and they don't know what the hell it's good for, but whatever. And I still have the one that Walter bought me, but I haven't used it since I got the Cricut Maker. I probably should sell it. But and the Brothers Scan and Cut, I've got that, and I haven't used that either. The Cricut Maker does it all and more. So I am sold by it. Let's see here. Mel says it's quite expensive. 418 euros. Have to ask how much delivery would cost. 418 euros. So that would make it.
That'd be fairly expensive.
That'd be about over $600 Canadian. Mm-hmm. Whoa. Here it's even in Canadian dollars. It's a lot cheaper than that. It's about 400. It was about 390. No, it was 499 at the time that I bought it.
Yeah.
Canadian dollars. So 500 Canadian dollars. And I don't know if it's come down in price much. The models before it have all dropped, of course, in price. I think you can get an Explorer Air 2, which is wireless. I think you can get it for under $300 Canadian now. I think it's about $249 Canadian at Michael's or something like that.
Which is also good if all you're interested in is cutting paper stuff.
Yeah, if you're only interested in cutting out paper. And it uses the print and cut technology too, then that's fine. But if you want to cut any kind of fabric or if you want to cut the chipboard and stuff like that, you have to have a maker to do it.
And the only problem with the chipboard is if like that design that you did yesterday took over 3 hours for it to cut.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. You have to be patient with it. Nairi says, so you need to connect your computer to Cricut. Does it work with a MacBook? Yes, it does.
So, yeah.
It works with a Mac or a PC.
Or what do you call it? An iPad.
Or it'll also work with an iPad and an iPhone. It won't work with Android devices yet, although I don't know if that's not true. They may have come out with that now. At first they didn't, but they were talking about doing it.
But they are geared for Apple, yeah.
But they're geared towards iOS. And yes, because what you're hooking it into is the software. And the software you download to your computer, it's web-based. And all of their designs are in their web. You used to buy cartridges for the old machines and plug them in. Now they're phasing out cartridges. It's all online. And on the one hand, it's pretty good because you can buy individual images for 99 cents. Or you can buy what they call cartridges, but they're not physical, they're virtual cartridges and they range in price. They're cheaper than the physical cartridges, but they range anywhere between $15 to $30, probably, depending on what the set is and how many images are in it. But you can also join Cricut Access, and I belong to that, and it costs me about 13 Canadian dollars a month, and that gives me access to their library of over 30,000 images and all their fonts. No, not all of their. No, 30,000 font. No, how's that work? There's some things you still have to pay for if you want them. There's certain fonts, but all these images, and if you decide you also want to buy specialty cartridges that aren't included in Cricut Access, you get a 10% discount. Plus, you get 10% discount on any products you buy from them, with the exception of the machines or tools for the machine. And they're always running sales and things on. And sometimes they have really good sales for Cricut Access people. Like you get 50% off on, say, vinyl, or even sometimes on the cutting mats as well. So personally, I don't mind spending that a month for it because I use my machine a fair amount. But that's how it works. But you have to have the software. But software's free. And you'll need, of course, an internet connection with it. Now, there could be one problem, depending on where you live in the world. We have a really good internet connection, so it's no problem. But if you've got a slow internet connection, you could run into some problems, I would think, with it. To date, I've never really had any problems. There have been a couple of times when the site has been down, but only for a couple of minutes with it. Their customer support is very good too, when you have to deal with something with it. Like they're a good company. They really are a good company. But if you're not living in North America, I guess there's some other problems that you would have. Mm-hmm. Because if they're not distributing it there or how they do it, I don't know. Marie says, in UK, I pay £5.99, £5.99 for Express. She might offer free or reduced over. Oh, they're talking about another place. Oh, yeah, there's something. Mel says, oops, UK version. So electricity system is different unless they have an extra plug you can change. Oh, that's true. Never thought about that. Yeah, their electricity is different than ours. That might be one reason why they're maybe not as quickly available there. I don't know. But I know the crickets are, I've seen them on, what's that UK? It's a home shopping club like we have here, but it's the UK version. Craft, can't think of what it's called now. And I have seen them on there.
A
So
lot of the companies use like an adapter. That
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
So
that's right. They use an adapter and they just have a plug that would fit.
you would think that they would be able to create one
Yeah.
for UK or whatever.
Well, they must. They do have them in the UK.
Yeah.
They show them on their shopping thing, whatever that's called, creative something. I can't remember what it is. Um, Laura says, "What do they go for in Canadian?" Are you talking about the Cricket, Laura, or something else?
Cricket Maker
If you're
or
the
the Cricket
Cricket,
Explorer.
the
or-
Cricket Maker's about $499 Canadian. Last I looked, the Cricket Explorer Air
It's either
is
$250 or $299.
yeah, they're considerably cheaper now. They dropped the price on them. Michaels has been trying to get rid of them forever. You can't use the coupons on them at Michaels. You can't use any coupons from Michaels on any Cricket products there at all. They've got. I asked them one time about that, why that was, and they said, well, it's something that the company won't let you do it, blah blah blah, or whatever. I don't know if it's the company or if it's just
I
Michaels.
think it's probably the markup isn't as high as other products because you know how Michaels works.
Yeah.
They jack the prices really high for their stuff, and then so that you can when you use the coupon, they're still making money. Whereas something like the Explorer Air has to be sold at a specific price.
Yeah. So Nairi has to go. So bye, Nairi. Have a good week. And Lindsay Hall is here. She says, hello, everybody from the UK. Have you been on here before, Lindsay? I don't have you on my list, but I'm going to add you to my list if you don't mind. If my pen will write. Lindsay Hall, UK. Okay. And oh, Maria says create and craft. And now Hancha. Yeah, that's right. That's the company. And I've seen them advertise them on there at times. Mel says, yes, I think you can have adapters. Craft and Bev says, it is the company. I have a friend that works at a store that sells both Cricket and Brothers, and they cannot get discounts on either one of them. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, that's a bit of a thing. If you had a 50% off coupon and they let you use it, that would be great.
Yeah, a couple of people have already said that to you in the past. Remember Cindy and
Oh, yeah.
oh, I'll just go wait and use the 50%
Yeah.
coupon on it, and you
I
said
said,
no.
no, you can't. So anyways, yep, we'll see what other tools they come out to with this adaptive tool system that they've got. But bottom line for me is I don't regret the money that I have spent on the Cricket, on the Maker. I think it's worth it. And in my way of thinking, it may cost more, but why go for second best with one of the lesser models in the Cricket line? I'd go all the way for the Cricket Maker because it does more. And more is good, isn't it? Mel says, are you planning summer holiday and traveling somewhere?
We haven't discussed that.
We haven't talked about it yet. We're kind of up in the air about our travel plans in the next year because, as you know, I've said it before, our living room the 90s are calling. They want the living room back. We do need to do some major. We were talking about it the other night. And, well, let's just say that not only does he cook, he decorates. I just go along for the ride. I opened my mouth a couple of times about a couple of ideas, and no, not doing that. So, whatever, it'll be fine. But it's all a question of how much money can we spend on this, because it's going to cost us a lot of money to start with, and, well, we haven't worked that all out yet. And I still don't want to necessarily tie up a whole lot of money in creating a space that, okay, still looks decent. I mean, it's we hardly use it, the living room. So, I mean, it's still pretty pristine in there. but the furniture's a little dated. Kind of looks like old lady furniture in a way. It's good furniture though, well made. Um, and new carpeting we need in certain parts of the house, and new flooring we need, and the list goes on. So we don't have any plans, but we are going to Stratford, not England, Stratford, Ontario, which is where we have our Shakespearean festival every year, and they've had it for the last like 30 years, 40 years, whatever. And we're going not to see Shakespeare though, although I love Shakespeare. We're going to see the Rocky Horror Picture Show on my birthday in July. We got tickets for it and the whole bit. And some friends of ours have already seen it, and one of them dressed up as Frankenfurter. Wasn't pretty. No. I gotta give him credit though for having guts, because he was wearing the whole thing. And if you know Rocky Horror Picture Show, you know Frankenfurter wears the garter belt, and this is a man who's not a spring chicken. He's older than us, and I got to give him credit for having the guts. I wouldn't do it, not in 1,000 years. So that's about all our plans for the summer so far. I think we should go to Missouri, to the Missouri Star Quilt Company, but it's a little ways away, and it's the States. Not so sure about that. No, anymore. So I don't know. Maybe we should go to Quebec City or Montreal.
We've talked about that, but then last time, you remember last year, I said, why spend all that money to go out there and we can go to England?
Oh, that's right. Well, let's go to England instead. Yeah, I'd rather go to England, but we'll see. So what else? Anything newsworthy? No, we had a windstorm. Okay. What are we watching? Altered Carbon. We mentioned it last week. We've still got 2 episodes left to go to finish the first season. It's strange, but it's actually pretty good. It takes a little while to get into it. It's Netflix again. Sorry, people that don't have Netflix. Netflix is, at least here in North America, in Canada, it's $10.99 a month. It is worth the $10.99 a month because they have some great shows. Now, I just saw today, I have a Prime membership on Amazon. I was trying it out for this year. And along with that membership, you get their television station or their internet station kind of a thing. And we can watch that on the things that we have on our TV. There's a new show. Well, I don't know how new it is, but they have it. They just listed it on Prime. It's called Dr. Thorne. It takes place in Victorian England, and it's produced and written by the same guy who did Downton Abbey, Julian Fellows. And it looks kind of interesting. He probably wouldn't like it because he never watched Downton Abbey either. I loved Downton Abbey. It was great. And I've read some other of Julian Fellows' books as well, and it's the kind of literature that I like the Victorian kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to watching that. I'll let you know how that turns out. We haven't seen any movies. Affinity Wars opened here a week or so ago. It's the one with all the superheroes, right? It has really good reviews. A friend of mine went to see it. He says it's long, but he says it's action-packed, and he thought it was really good, but he's a real comic book freak kind of a thing. So we did try to see it when it first came out, but it was sold out 2 nights in a row right after it opened, so we'll said, well, let's just wait until the hubbub dies a little bit, and maybe we'll go. Maybe next week we should go and see with that. Nothing new on YouTube that I can tell you about. A friend of mine, though, just got her first book published. It's called Escape from Shambles County. I bought and downloaded a copy of it. It's an electronic book format. It's supposed to be humorous and some adventure or something. Not sure. I haven't started reading any of it yet because I'm reading something else at the moment, but then I'll get into it. But I've known her for my whole life, and I'm really happy that she got a book published. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be very typical Canadian, I'm sure, because it takes place in the East Coast of Canada, because her family have their roots in the East Coast. So, and we already talked about what was cooking and not cooking. So let's see, I'm teaching an RMG card at the art gallery this week. I'm teaching a card class. I never know how many people I'm going to have at these stupid things. Um, it's a bit of a pain in the butt to teach these classes because I pretty much supply all the materials. You think an art gallery would have materials, wouldn't you? Well, no, they don't really. And the stuff that they have is really quite honestly crap to use with it. And it's for volunteers, and they come and they make these cards, and I do a different technique, and then everybody makes like 4 cards, keep one out of the 4 they've made for themselves. The other 3 are donate it to the art gallery so they can use them for thank you notes and things like that for special guests and whatnot. And basically I'm supplying them with cards for this thing, and they're running low. So I haven't done one of these classes in a while, and I'm doing it with jelly plate printing and stuff like that. So I don't know how many people I'm going to have. Right now it says I have 4, but there can be up to 15. But they're supposed to sign up on something called Charity Republic, which is an electronic thing that the art gallery has. And what always happens is people don't sign up for that. So they show up. So basically I have to prepare for 15. And if I have 4, if I have 8, fine. But what bugs me is they walk in at the last minute. And this time though, I don't care. I'm setting up for 15. Last time I thought I was going to have only 6 or something. I set up 6 places, everything, all equipment, and then all these other people came in. So I had to interrupt the class, basically, to get them all set up with stuff. I found it kind of annoying with this kind of thing. But what can you do? So whatever. Laura says she went to see She's So Pretty last night. She says, good movie. Glenn says, what's Glenn say? Craft and Bev said, I got to back up here. You'll love that. Craft and Betty says, I liked Alter Carbon. It was good. Glenn says, we're walking in from seeing it today when your live show was coming on. We're walking in from seeing it. Okay. It was very action-packed. I went to see She's So Pretty. I think he means Affinity Wars. Mel says, I just canceled my Netflix subscription for summers. I don't have much time to watch TV in summertime as I spend so much time outdoors doing nature photography. Okay. Laura says, I was jelly printing just now. I adore mine. And Lindsay says, I would love to come but live in the UK. Oh, they're talking about someplace where they're going around there. Okay, so, all right. So what else? We talked about Mother's Day. Can't think of anything else.
Anything that's eating me this week.
No, Walter doesn't have anything pissing him off this week.
I have to think about that.
Kind of unusual. He's Dutch. Usually everything pisses the Dutch off. But, you know. Whatever. Did I say that out loud? Yeah, I did. So tomorrow my vlog. And I've got a bunch of different things I'll be discussing on there. Sometimes it's hard when you have the vlog on the Monday, you have this on the Sunday before it. And sometimes I end up overlapping because I'm never sure who's watching the vlog and who's just on Stephen and Walter Live and the whole bit. So I try not to repeat things too much over that because I want to keep things interesting. I did post a new idiot quilt where I talk about ripping out things. Oh, and Brenda says, oh wait, will you have a person of interest? I do not have a person of interest this week. Nobody has sent me anything. So come on, people, don't be shy, right? I won't say nasty things about you. I'll only say good things, even if I have to make them up. Okay, I'll say nice things.
Now that the nicer weather's here, I've been doing gardening and stuff.
Oh, yeah, Walter's been gardening.
Well,
He's been out. Well, tell him about your weeds.
oh, we have a little forest in behind us, right? So we have these noxious weeds that grow on the other side of the fence. Like there's a chain link fence and then the forest, right? So we have these weeds in Canada, they call it dog strangling vine. It came from Hungary or something like this. And it's been growing wild in Canada. Well, the last few years, it overtook the fence in the backyard and just covered the fence several years. But the neighbors on the one side have been trying to get rid of it. And so I've made a concerted effort to get rid of it this year. And
And how did you do that?
I put down on the other side of the fence. I put down tarping, and I put down weed control tarping, and I um, put cedar mulch on top of it.
The bunnies were all lined up watching them do it.
Yeah, and I covered up a hole that a bunny was going underneath the fence, and they weren't too happy.
They
about
will
that.
be attacking us. We have a lot of bunnies. We have a lot of bunnies. We have a lot of squirrels. We have chipmunks. We have wild turkeys, skunks, coyotes in our backyard, which I find amazing that we have coyotes and that we still have a lot of bunnies. And the turkeys, what, coyotes don't
Well,
like
the bunnies
turkeys?
come out under the fence and they roam around the neighborhood here.
Oh, they're so cute and fluffy. But, yeah,
We got a lot of them the last few years, the bunnies. I haven't seen too many raccoons around, though.
No. Well, I guess they can't get into the little compost buckets anymore since they put those new hinges on them or whatever.
I know. I saw them. I went outside a couple of years ago to add stuff to the garbage, and there was one fine dining on across the road. Actually, we're trying to get into our compost bin.
Who was?
A raccoon, great big fat one.
When was that?
But a couple of years ago. Also, scared the crap out of me.
Oh. Well, wasn't there one night you came home and there was a kitty on the doorstep
Yeah, there was
with a big white stripe down
big
its back?
white stripe. And I go, oh.
I hear a kitty.
There's
kitty.
a skunk on our
Not a
porch.
kitty.
So I just waited till it cooled off. So,
They're supposed to make good pets if you get them to scent.
and then one day I saw a coyote walking across the driveways.
Yeah. Well, I saw them one night running by in a pack, 5 o'clock in the morning in the winter. Looked out the window and there they go. You heard them yipping away. So yeah, we have a regular zoo in the backyard.
It doesn't happen that often because we have this fence, and the only thing that ends up coming across the fence is usually bunnies
Yeah.
and the odd skunk.
Yeah. Well, I suggested that we maybe put in a little vegetable garden in the backyard this year. However, the bunnies are a problem because I have a friend that they have a vegetable garden and they're in a similar situation as us in terms of how they link out into like wildlife. And I guess the bunnies eat everything as it comes up.
I guess in Toronto they have a real raccoon problem. And we had friends, the friends that we went last week to see that have a condo. They used to have a really nice house in Midtown Toronto. And they put in a fish pond in their backyard and bought all these expensive koi and put the expensive koi in the fish pond. And the next day, the koi were all gone. And it's because the raccoons got to them.
But then they put a little fence around it and put in more
Put an
koi.
electrified fence around it.
But then the raccoons still got the koi.
No, that kept them out.
Oh, did it keep them out?
Yeah.
Well, that means free sushi for the raccoons. Oh, look, koi, yum. Yeah, Toronto has a lot of problems with raccoons. That's for sure in there. So, anyways, I think that brings us to a close, people, tonight. Don't have anything else really to tell you. So, we'll see what this week brings. Yeah. So anyways, I hope everybody has a really good week out there. And yes, remember, I'm still interested in people sending me basic information about what you're up to, where you live, not the address. We're not stalking you. Kind of a thing for my person of interest. The prompts are on my vlog as to what to fill out. Mel, I'll try to remember. I've got it here to put in show notes, the links to our art gallery and that. And I do have a video on my YouTube from about a year ago that I made about the 50th anniversary of the art gallery as well, which they never showed at the art gallery or did anything with, but that's a story for another day. And anyways, so Bev says, good night, Stephen and Walter. Good night, everybody. See you all next week. And Lindsay, good night, Lindsay, and welcome. Hope to see you next time, Lindsay, since